Okay. Think everything should be good to go. Everybody
All
there?
right.
All right. What's up, guys?
Sweet.
It's Legend X Ronin, and today I have another live discussion for you guys. And today's topic, we'll be talking about power levels in Mortal Kombat in general. And I know a lot of people, this has been like a huge topic of discussion ever since the whole Cassie defeating Corrupted Shinnok fiasco. So I thought it would be kind of fun to get some of my friends together and all of us kind of discuss the idea of power levels in the whole Mortal Kombat universe. So I'm gonna go ahead and introduce everybody. Everybody just say hey.
Hello.
Hello.
Alright.
Hola, como te estás?
The awkward introduction begins.
Oh yeah.
We're all here. Hi.
We're off to a rollicking start.
Well, as you
Yeah,
guys
my
know,
haters.
it's the same usual friends. We have History Behind the Warrior, Nickfamous,
What up?
Ulterior Gamez, and Survive Combatants. And as you guys heard, they all said hey. But let's go ahead and jump right into this. I'm go ahead and hit us with the first topic of discussion, and we're gonna kind of go in order and kind of give our thoughts on it. But the first thing I want to talk about is what power level inconsistencies bother you guys the most in the series, and just to kind of throw out some ideas with some of the stuff I have. I mean, I know, of course, like I said, there's the whole Cassie beating Corrupted Shinnok and MKX, but to give one from MK9, you know, Striker defeating Kentaro, or MK11, I know a lot of people had questions about Katana defeating Shao Kahn. So, starting with History Behind the Warrior, what are your thoughts as far as inconsistencies with the power levels?
Power levels are whack and don't make sense. Like, I feel like that isn't just like a reboot thing. That is just a Mortal Kombat thing in general. It's always been a problem from the very, very like from the well, not the original game, but basically from the original timeline passing all the way into like the new timeline. Because the problem is with, I guess it's not just fighting games or characters, it's writing in new characters from each installment, because you always have to make the new big bad and new big character kind of, well, lose at some point or something like that. They need to overcome the big bad and big obstacle, and that naturally paints a target on them. And that's always going to be kind of a thing with Mortal Kombat. It's very clear that power levels don't really matter in this universe. I try to make it in the sense to kind of make it slightly passable, despite some of the stupid bullshit, is that everyone's at an equal level. Just at some point in that fight, one said fighter happens to get the edge over the other. Because I believe the second we start to try and make sense of it is where the story just completely starts falling apart. Because that's just not how it works. I mean, what also doesn't help is that technically, I hate using this term, but it does work and it does apply here, is the use of plot armor. Now, plot armor will instantly cover whatever said character is the main character, because that's their chapter. That's how it works. It works in TV, movies, anything of the sorts. Unless you're in Game of Thrones, then eat shit. But it's one of those things where you know that character is going to be invulnerable. And I think that's always going to be a massive problem with not just Mortal Kombat, but storytelling in general, especially when you're pushing forward new characters in the series. Honestly, I don't have massive gripes with power levels, and I can't tell if it's either because I'm not saying I buy into it, but I'm so kind of used to expecting that at this point. I probably tolerate it, because I'm just kind of like, yeah, I guess that's how the story's gonna go anyway. But it would be nice for them to kind of have something that would surprise me every here and there. Honestly, power levels don't bug me as much as they used to, because I can kind of, guess where the story's going in that respect. But yeah, it's nowhere near as bad for me now, because I'm so used and adjusted to it. Like, when you establish a character, I think it's rather safe to say this. When you assert a character of anything past, well, at God status or past level, God status, and they're the antagonist, you're going to have to beat the shit out of them. And it doesn't really matter their power level at that point. I mean, Ermac is supposed to be one of the strongest beings in the Mortal Kombat universe. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. He should be able to snap everyone like a twig, like in every fatality he has, effortlessly. Like, look at what he did to Jax. Jax didn't do shit. Now, what's he gonna do? Smack him with the stubs? Like, if he can do that to someone's arms, in what was it? Like, let's say about 5 seconds. You should be able to do it to every single person who practically looks in this guy's direction from a mile away. But it's like I said, that's not how the writing works, not how the storytelling works. That like power levels are always going to be inconsistent. They're always going to clash with stories and plot lines and how they write them and how they're interweaved. It's not something I particularly like, but it's something that in many cases is kind of understandable. Is like it's one of those you have to juggle between like consistency and story, and most of the times it doesn't work. Like you can't stack up a character like Onaga up against a character like Baraka. You know, maybe Baraka wins that fight 1 out of 1,000,000, but you know it's one of those things where it will always be inconsistent and it will never ever make sense. I mean, so Genko, by all rights, intents, and purposes, should have never been able to beat Onaga. But why? His kind of plot armor enabled him to defeat Onaga. I mean, if we can give Shichenko a pass for pulling that shit, there's no reason why we shouldn't give Cassie a pass for it, because it's fucking ridiculous. Like it's one of those cases of it's established, it makes sense, but it's not necessarily the way I would have liked the story to have gone. But that's my stand on like stories and stuff. It's a really, really weird one. It's a struggle between balance of storylines and consistencies, and power levels are like Dragon Ball. They don't fucking make sense. You just make it up as you go along.
Like, to be honest, yeah.
Like it's just one of those things. It's not, like I said, I don't have a massive problem with it these days because I'm kind of adjusted to seeing that and a majority of stories and stuff like that. So I'm probably rather tolerant and kind to it. But it's just, it doesn't bother me as much as it used to, but I can definitely see why it would bother some people. I mean, like I said, if some things can be given a pass and some things other, we have to apply that rule to everything. And I think the best way of kind of seeing it is just how the story dictates particular fights and how it goes. Because the second we start breaking down power levels, as you're going to see in a bit, guys, it's going to get very confusing and it's going to get really crazy. That's my stand on it.
And, you know, I agree with you. Plot armor is like a big issue as far as like trying to deal with people's power levels in the story. And you know, it just gets to the point where you just have certain characters pulling off like these amazing feats because there's like no way that they'll beat that character. And going back to what you said with Yujinko beating Onaga, like heck, I don't even think that was even considered canon after what happened in Armageddon. Like, you know, some people say that there's the chance that the Scorpion ending was actually canon to where he beat Onaga, but I mean, that one's kind of just up in the air. It kind of goes with the same thing with Taven beating Blaze, but Shao Kahn being Blaze.
The thing is, I guess it kind of does work in that sense, but I know, like, Reception's story mode, it's so incredibly loose, and I say that. Both Conquest modes are really kind of loose with how they can flow with the continuity. Some things can really work, some things can't. It's like Armageddon's Conquest mode kind of flows really well up until you see the beginning of MK9, and then you're like, so does the ending of Armageddon? What was it? No,
exactly.
Like it's really weird, but I think in Armageddon anyway, Scorpion actually, I think it is Shujinko because in what was it? In Nightwolf's ending, after Shujinko defeats Onaga, Onaga's soul is bound to the Netherrealm. And that's how he escapes and he comes back. Whereas in Scorpion's ending, he straight up just gets killed.
That is actually true.
Sorry, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah. All right, so I mean, I guess that kind of debunks that. But
yeah, it's one of those. But well, what can you do? It's just kind of like balancing these two really awkward things that they don't really work all of the time, unfortunately.
It doesn't, and like you said, we're probably about to get into more discussion that just brings that out even more. But Nick, what are your thoughts as far as like power level inconsistencies that bother you in the series?
Yeah, so I mean, history behind the Warrior pretty much described it perfectly. Mortal Kombat is just like it's bound to happen, right? Because it's like we have good characters like Stryker fighting like, you know, bad guys like Kentaro, but it's like the story needs to progress. So obviously Stryker's going to win, even though, like you said, maybe in one of the 1,000,000 times they'd fight, would he actually win? So, I mean, doesn't really bother me after a while, but like I think the one that stood out to me is probably Cassie and Shinnok, because that was like the end. You know, it was like the finale. It was supposed to be the big boom, and it was like Cassie Cage just kind of unlocks this shoehorned power and beats this weird corrupted Shinnok. I don't know. I really didn't like the way they did that. The one you said with Stryker and Kintaro really stands out to me. Katana and Shao Kahn in Mortal Kombat 11 also stands out to me as like an inconsistent one. But kind of as a joke, Mortal Kombat versus DC's entire storyline is like the biggest inconsistency, because like Scorpion and Sub-Zero are not beating Superman ever.
Like that's not happening whatsoever.
So like that whole story is just like hard to believe. Like obviously it was like, we know how everyone feels about Mortal Kombat versus DC, but to me, out of all inconsistencies, it's like, no. Kano is never going to be able to beat like Superman or like Wonder Woman.
Yeah, which I honestly never really considered that one canon, even though supposedly
No,
it
I
is
don't
canon.
think it was ever. I don't think it was ever supposed to be canon. But like, I find the Mortal Kombat canon is so lost anyway with the original timeline and the new timeline.
Yeah.
That I find it's just worth mentioning anything at this point.
Yeah, and I agree, but it's just that one really messes things up a lot when you get into the topic of power levels, because honestly, there's just not many DC characters I think that can be beaten by Mortal Kombat characters.
No, not like that. But on like more of a serious note, I probably would have to say Cassie and Shinnok, just because it was like really disappointing finale, especially for like Shinnok, who is such a prominent 3D era character, and he was set up like severely at the end of Mortal Kombat 9, so it was just kind of disappointing.
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and like kind of segue and kind of just talk about like an explanation with just that scene in general, because I know that was like the one that really just kicked off the idea of power levels in Mortal Kombat, because a lot of people were unhappy with that one.
Yeah, oh yeah, big time.
And I mean, I think that like this is the biggest thing to take away as far as like just them two fighting is just the idea that the only reason why she could compete with Shinnok is because of this green power thing. And supposedly, I think like the purpose of it was that it kind of nullified his powers as far as going against her.
It's an anti-god tool.
Yeah.
That's what it basically is.
And, you know, they kind of explained it with Johnny Cage a little bit with the whole Mediterranean cult thing, saying that they were bred to fight gods. So, I mean, would you say it's more so the idea of that compared to it being actual combat skills? Like, say if you took away that power from her and took his powers away, and like it's literally like a fist fight,
she would get smacked around.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
Like I was gonna say, like if you took
literally
those powers away, there would be no fist fight. Like corrupted Shinnok would like crush her.
Exactly.
But
okay,
I think with the power, it like you said, it makes sense, and they do explain it in the game. I just wish that it would have more preface, like that they would have developed this power, because Johnny Cage has had green powers since literally Mortal Kombat 1, and they have never acknowledged a reason for it, like in-game story mode until now, and it felt really shoehorned to me. And I think that's why it bothered me. Like if they would have set it up at the start of the game that Cassie's trying to like figure out this, you know, weird power that she has, but it's like, nah, it's just kind of like thrown in there.
Yeah,
it's not enough character development with her either, so it feels unnatural.
Exactly.
And that's like one of the things I was, because it threw me off the first time I seen it, because I was like, he has always had green powers, and it's like you said, they never explained it. Like he's just some normal movie star who got thrown into this tournament, yet he has these powers, and they never discuss, like they don't talk about it much. Like, where did you get these powers? Why do you have powers? Does anybody else know that you have powers? So you use these in your movies. Like, they don't really like full-fledged like kind of go in depth with it. And
I just realized something.
It just came out of nowhere. Is like,
it's like NetherRealm Studios just realized, they're like, oh yeah, he has powers, we better explain that.
Yeah.
Oh, I just realized something. The only time Raiden ever's taken notice of Cage is when Liu Kang and Kung Lao were killed. The only time he becomes important.
Yo, like,
oh my god, that's really sad.
I literally said
oh my god,
when I like went through this, because like I said, I went through the MK9 story yesterday to kind of like discuss this a little bit more, and I started a little bit with the MKX, and that's literally what it is. Like he didn't.
Oh my god,
didn't
that's
think
so
about it.
mean. I didn't realize that till now. He's literally second best. It's
Not
the
even
best he's
second,
got.
third best. Like,
Well, if we're counting all the other people that died, then maybe 12. But you know,
oh,
biggest coffee choosers apparently.
but yeah. Oh, it's just like that's the biggest issue with just the power in general, that they kind of just threw it in there without like kind of just building up to it with like story development, and that's a lot of what I think a lot of people need to take away. What take away with that whole situation is just the simple fact that that's the only reason why she could actually beat Corrupted Shinnok, is because of his powers. Like we said, if it was like a straight up fist fight, no, it would not have went down like that.
She would get slapped. Silly.
Well, she does for quite a bit of the fight. Remember, before it actually kicks in.
True, yeah, I guess. But like, I never liked how, and I forget what chapter it was, but when you play a Sub-Zero, he literally slaps all of them around.
Oh,
But then, but then she can beat Shinnok, and Takeda and Jackie can hold off Sindel and all the other Revenants. Like, and mind you, they're injured already. So it's like, oh, so Sub-Zero is just like way better than everybody, huh?
And
It's like
true,
I
but you
never
also have to
understood
remember, Revenants are bitches.
Yeah.
They are so fucking weak. They are so piss poor weak. It's kind of insane in comparison to their actual human selves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's something I wanted to explain, was the whole idea that Revenants are weaker than their original selves. But even with that being said, that was a scene I wanted to discuss. Like, I'm sorry, there's no way, there is no way
like,
that Takeda
that's
and Jackie should have been able to hold off all the Revenants while having like legitimate wounds. Like,
I don't know, man. Her keep away game in MKX was pretty good. It's kind of hard to get in on.
well, that's the only explanation we have there.
Just zoned them out, man. It's hard.
Like, it's just ridiculous just to even think about that scene. Like I said, I was going back and like just looking at some old scenes for this discussion, and I remember that scene, and I was like, oh my gosh! I just like my first time seeing that, I was like, there's no way they should have died. Like, there's no conceivable way that they should have survived that outcome. But here we are. They held off every single Revenant, even though they were hurt.
Yeah, I know. It's stupid. And I mean, right now I'm looking at the chat right now. There's this guy Griffin. He's saying that earlier on they were bullying Raiden. So it's like, how is it that they
That's
can
my
manage
favorite scene
to
in Mortal
like bully
Kombat.
Raiden?
I
but
bet
they
it's
can't
his
take care of
favorite
Takeda.
scene.
Where they're all like kicking him on the ground.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
favorite scene. This
I
is my favorite
laughed.
scene in the whole game.
Okay, so like I understand, yeah, like the Revenants could be like weaker versions of themselves, but they're beating Raiden, who's like a demigod. Oh, but they can't
don't
hold back.
God. Oh god.
Power and numbers,
Whatever,
man.
you know what I mean.
No, you're right. It's just they just messed up the lore. Just continue. Like,
I know. Okay, I'm going based off of like what they said.
No, you're
like,
right. Go ahead.
Okay, 11. Okay, but you know what I mean. Either way, it's Raiden. He's a fucking god, pretty much. And they were all ganging up on him, and so somehow they can't manage to hold back Takeda, who's injured, and also Jackie, who's also injured, who earlier got beat up silly. Yeah, that's pretty much the only reason that they were holding them back. But I mean, at this point, it's like I don't even care anymore. It's like, okay, whatever. It's bound to happen. Back then, back in 2015, I was just mad. Like I couldn't actually believe that, like 6 chapters ago they got beat up by Sub-Zero, but now they can just magically, they learned like everything from Sub-Zero, and now they can't lose against fucking everybody. It's crazy.
Well, like, actually though, Cassie did get her ass kicked by Tanya later on in the story, and I mean, she got her ass kicked, like literally just being bullied on the ground.
Forest chapter.
Yeah, but it's just that stuff like that. That really just ruins the whole idea of power levels, because it's like you literally went from getting your butt handed to throughout the story, and then just out of nowhere you kick Corrupted Shinnok's butt. And like I said, the power explains it, but they don't explain the power well enough as far as like just the
wait, hold up. Okay, I can maybe get behind Cassie, with that all that like green energy, but didn't Jackie have her own chapter where she beat up Reptile, Ermac too, but she couldn't beat Sub-Zero?
Okay.
Why? Why?
Reptile is a jobber, so that one's not one's not surprising. But I agree with history as far as saying that Ermac is like one of the most powerful characters in the series.
Exactly.
So that
he should know you by looking at you. He's that broken.
Exactly. It's like as far as like I don't want to like get into like this as a whole topic because we can go on and on. But as far as like the ninjas go, Ermac, like, he's up there, and like that's just the ninjas, like, because throughout the whole story, well, without all the characters, he's up there in general. Like, I don't see how any of them, like, even watching MK9, like, going back to Striker fought Ermac and beat him, and I'm just like, ain't no way. Like, there is no way you telling me some normal police officer beat Ermac. And the
police brutality coming up.
Exactly. And it literally just goes the same thing with like Jackie and the rest of them. Like, there's beating Ermac just like the only person I'm trying to think as far as like MK9, because I think all of the people who beat Ermac, maybe Takeda, maybe that one I can accept, Takeda beating Ermac, maybe, but
yeah,
like as far as MK9 went with Liu Kang and Sub-Zero beating Ermac, I can accept that too, because it is literally said though in the lore that Sub-Zero is he's actually really strong. So it's just like those I can accept, but like Striker beating Ermac, Jackie beating Ermac, those just I don't agree with those. But
maybe Ermac's actual secret weakness is fighting people that are either super lame or he has like a real, and I feel like I'm kind of joking about this, but I might actually be right in that sense. Maybe he's just super, super fucking weak to bullets. Because that is the only reason I can imagine Ermac losing.
But my thing is, like, how could you even get a shot on this guy? Like, when he can literally fold you like a pretzel in a matter of seconds.
He can teleport too, so it's like, yes. Why?
Because like I was like I said, when I was rewatching everything, I saw the scene where the Tarkatans were attacking Kotal and MKX, and like one of them ran towards Ermac, and he literally picks it, like he dodges him, picks him up, and folds him in a matter of seconds. And I'm just like, no way you guys are beating Ermac.
Oh boy.
But going back to, there was like trying to see, because I have a list of like all the ones I kind of wanted to cover, and I think we covered most of them. Oh, okay, MKX when Jax fought Liu Kang, but I will say that he was Revenant Liu Kang.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess that's a little bit understandable.
It's the only way it makes sense, honestly.
But at
least in my mind.
The issue I have though, which no, I take that back actually. Because I was about to say Revenant Liu Kang fought Raiden in MK11, but he took regular Liu Kang's soul, so that one's understandable.
Yeah, it's so weird.
It is.
It's so weird.
Yeah, at this point, I don't even like bother like actually like putting like my mind to it. It's like, wait, how come that doesn't make any sense? No, at this point I'm like, okay, whatever, who cares? Whatever.
Not a wave, boys.
Not a wave. Yeah. Yep, pretty much.
But like Survive, you've yet to be the one to kind of just give your full thoughts. So what do you think?
I don't think you want me
to. I think I want you to.
I am very critical of everything, especially when it comes to Mortal Kombat 11's use of people.
Well, and see, I'm curious to hear that, because as far as MK11 goes, the only matchup I felt was questionable was the Katana versus Shao Kahn, and I don't think it's to the point where it's like there's no way in hell. Like, I think it's just like it's debatable.
That was the moment where I stopped playing Mortal Kombat 11 mode the first time. There's a two-parter on my channel, and the moment that Katana sliced Shao Kahn, I'm like, nope, done with this fucking shit. And the chat had to get me back into playing it next day.
And then he proceeded to watch Hanzo die.
Fuck you, sir.
Hey,
The one thing I didn't want happening.
I will say one thing before, if you do decide to get into that topic. It was already said that she did not kill Shao Kahn. A lot of us thought it, and I did too. But she didn't kill him. He's still alive.
What a writer says. That dude is laying there on the floor, motionless.
To be fair, I kind of called that he was still alive and got blinded. So
yeah, they said that he just got blinded.
Yeah, no, that dude is laying there motionless. He is not blinded. He is dead.
I mean, he could have just been knocked out, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. But when it comes to power levels, for X, the only really fair fight is Takeda and Reptile. Everything else is shit. Just
out of the whole story.
I mean,
out of the whole,
Jackie
think about this. There's a lot of characters. It's like 12 chapters. You say that was the only actual fair matchup.
Okay, maybe Kotal Khan and fucking Kano, but yeah.
Dude, okay. Give them some kind of credit. I wouldn't go as far as saying that was the only fair matchup. You got to give them some kind of credit on a level. Like, especially with Johnny. I feel like Johnny Cage's chapters were good. Like, as far as, like... Okay.
Kotal felt like he earned quite a few of his wins, now I think about it.
That too, yeah. Like, I agree with Kotal.
Yeah, and then Kung Jin just comes in like, hey, what's up, y'all?
Okay, see, I do want to say that with the new characters. New characters are new characters. So, like, I feel like power levels don't really apply to them as far as, like, fighting each other because we don't know them. They're new. So, I actually had no problem with Kung Jin beating Kotal. Kotal's overrated as far as power goes, to be honest with you, because he's a Khan, yes, but, like, he's a Khan just because he took the throne. Doesn't mean he's strong.
Yeah, I mean, have you been hearing like the new name everyone's been giving Kotal now?
What's the name?
Kotal can't walk.
Because that man really got crippled by Shao Kahn, man.
And then he gets proceeded to be beat by fucking Katana. No, I do not. I don't like Mortal Kombat when it comes to power levels because it's like it really takes me out of it, and it's the reason why I think Mortal Kombat story mode is overtly overrated. Like, everybody says, oh, it's the best fighting game. No. If you are a Mortal Kombat fan, it is not the best fighting game story mode in the world.
I mean, it has its flaws, but, like, it's still the best because not many fighting games have stories.
It's only the best because it has a fucking animation and cinematics and shit.
But
it's only the best because it's the best, dude.
Yeah,
I was only gonna say it's only the best because its competition is fucking dog shit.
Like, exactly. Like, look at Street Fighter. Like,
Street Fighter literally didn't even have a story. They had to update it.
It doesn't.
What the fuck?
They had to put it through an update.
So, like,
that was literally like injecting stage 4 cancer into my veins. I will never play that story mode ever again. It was so bad. It was so bad. I can't emphasize how much I hated that story mode. And I was fucking waiting on that shit for months. And when it comes out, I'm like, wow, I'm selling this game. This is awful.
I mean,
I just think it's really overrated though. Like, for story mode to be this high up, like, yeah, the competition may be shit, but it's not the end all be all fighting game story modes. It has a lot of problems with it, and it's with X. It was like, okay, it has some shitty problems like the Sub-Zero beating all the combat kids and then coming back. The Raiden getting fucking gangbanged by all the revenants.
Dude, power in numbers.
like I don't know why they should have just ripped him apart just like right then and there. But
he just forgot he could do anything. He just sat there and took it.
X had such a good thing for, all right, let's continue the story. And it's like, it could have been a better story, and yet we get Mortal Kombat 11. And Jackie beating Cetrion because of a fucking headpiece.
But see, that I actually agree with that. And granted, the reason why I agree with it is because it's explained. She only could beat her because of the headpiece, and I feel like that's more of what they need with some of these crazy power level skeletons. They need some kind of explanation, because the whole time when soon as Cetrion like dropped down, I was like, I know they are not about to pin them against Cetrion and act like that is just okay. But the moment that they had pulled out the crown, it was like, well, we have to use this crown. That's the only way we're going to beat her. And I accepted that. But it's one of those things where I feel like a lot of people should pay attention to like how like the flow of it all goes. Is the fact that Cetrion wasn't like laying on the ground, just defeated, like completely massacred in the fight. She was still standing up and was like, okay, I'm tired of playing around. I'm about to take this serious now. So like, I feel like that scene was like actually explained. So that's why I don't have a problem with that one.
I just, and also with the Mediterranean shit, I don't know why they put it to gods. Like that's a horrible plot armor. Oh yeah, by the way, you have this awesome power, but it only works with Elder Gods.
Dude, could you imagine how fucking broken that would be against absolutely anyone else?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and look at Ermac.
That's the problem. When you establish literal plot armor like that, but you have it apply to everyone, like you write yourself into a corner of, we could have different chapters, or we could just send out Cassie and Johnny to everything everywhere and they can just do it for us.
Well, like you said, Ermac.
Who's Ermac? The guy who gets beaten by bullets.
It's the same argument as in Dragon Ball Z whenever people just say, why doesn't Krillin just use the Destructo disc on everyone? It's like, well, because the plot wouldn't be good if he did that.
True.
So
to be fair, every time I think about that Destructo disc, I just remember Cell taking it like a champ.
Oh,
that was
yeah,
filler.
to the neck.
That was filler. Garbage,
dude. Like he took that
kind of
Destructo disc to the neck, and I was like,
so
it
And I'm
doesn't
just
matter
here,
anymore.
not a fucking goddamn Dragon Ball Z fan.
Dude, you're missing out, man. That was like full childhood. But I mean, yes, you can say that, but it's just like they explained that it only works when he saw like a loved one about to die. So like it's something he can't turn on and off. It randomly happens, because if that was the case where he could just turn it on and off, then that means he can beat up Raiden. Like he can beat Raiden whenever he wants, because Raiden's a god. Well, a demigod, but I mean, like I hate
the way
like,
you said it, demigod.
Because
and it kind of makes sense because Johnny didn't love anybody but himself for most of his life, so he wouldn't have seen any loved ones die.
Exactly, and you know Cassie was about to see her father die, so I mean, it just, if they would have better planned that would have been a lot better.
Wait, I wonder why nothing came up when Sonya. Can I spoil? Are we allowed to talk about spoilers? I guess so. Yeah.
Wait, are we talking about MKX or MK11?
MK11. It's like right at the start, though.
All right, I'll say this, everybody. Technically, the ban should be lifted because it's been a while since the game.
Yeah, we just talked about Katana beating.
But in fairness, I guess we could still give out a warning to anyone who has not beaten the story and do not want to be spoiled. Mute it, turn off, like go away and come back in a little while, or just do whatever you got to do not to hear it. But go ahead, Nick.
I was just saying, because you raised a good point about how it's supposed to be triggered when a loved one dies or whatever, but why didn't anything happen when Sonya gets crushed by all those rocks at the start of Mortal Kombat 11?
Well, I mean,
because there's no elder gods.
There's no one she's fighting, though. Like, I mean, what was she going to do, kind of like in a way, like turn green and just start like, picking up rocks and chucking them across the room?
No, but like, I don't know, you just think that the power would activate as she's seeing a loved one almost die. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like that should be how the power triggers. I feel like there shouldn't be an elder god there for that to happen.
I don't think it's more so of an elder god as much as it's being in the middle of combat.
Maybe,
she wasn't fighting anybody.
Kano, the whole interrogation scene where like her mom and dad are just like standing there, like all this, like standing there being held by Kano and shit, and she's just like, yeah.
Well,
okay,
I mean,
green power's not coming.
I mean, I guess you could say Johnny was about the, like, you're talking about the scene where like they're like running from Kano and he has like the big, minigun like shooting them. Is that the scene you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about when they're all captured, and Kano's taking them to the '90s. Sonya and Johnny, they have them all captive.
Oh, and this like the Fight Club scene.
No, it's before that.
I'm so. Do you guys know?
You remember the desert storm or the desert fortress?
So it's when Johnny gets shot in the leg.
Okay. Yeah, you would think that. I guess. Maybe he felt like he didn't need it because I mean he did kick Kano Sector's ass like really quick.
And also Inconsistency, that shit too. If Johnny was able to punch young Kano in the fucking balls, shouldn't the future Kano that was holding the 90s Jack, or not 90s Jack, 90s Johnny, shouldn't he like had enough time to fucking run away? Like after getting hit in the balls, because if the past one feels it, the future one, because I mean if you say that makes no sense, well how the fuck does Sonya make sense when she killed Kano? None of this shit makes sense. This is why Mortal Kombat shouldn't do fucking time travel.
Well, no. The Sonya one makes sense because if the new one, not the past one, dies, it doesn't affect the present one. I mean the past.
Yeah,
one.
but she
and
was
the past
kicking
one dies.
The future or the past one, and the future one was feeling the pain.
Yeah.
Then when Johnny hit past Johnny Cage's, or if Johnny hit past Kano's balls, shouldn't have future Kano felt it.
Where was he? I'm trying to remember where he was in that scene.
He was off camera when that happened.
Yeah, he was off camera. Shouldn't like 90s Johnny Cage at least done some after that and gone away?
I mean, you would think, but
like I said, NetherRealm cannot fucking work with.
To be fair, this is stuff we don't actually see, so we just don't know. We can only presume.
Yeah.
No.
But power levels, yeah, no. Mortal Kombat's horrible with this shit, and I agree with history. Like, Ermac should be the end all be all, but he's a fucking jobber, just like Reptile. Reptile should be a leather belt by this point.
I mean, he's treated like one.
He is. But like with the whole thing with Reptile, it always takes me back to the scene in the MKX comics where Kotal was talking about the mistreatment of Reptile and how Shao Kahn should have never made him fight because he's not a fighter. He's more of a spy or intel kind of person. So he's not actually a fighter, honestly. That's why, like, he is a jobber. Like, he's not actually a good fighter. Like, it was actually kind of said that he wasn't. So, I mean, it makes sense that he gets his butt kicked. I feel like Baraka's a jobber, too. Like, I feel like those two are like the biggest jobbers in the series.
He wasn't as bad as a jobber in
Okay.
11. I actually
exactly.
liked him in 11. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you, NetherRealm, for fucking redeeming one jobber.
And I feel like the only reason why they did it though is because Ed talked about how bad he felt after letting Baraka get killed by Devore and MKX, and I feel like they felt the need to kind of work on him and like let his jobberness be redeemed a little bit. But
I liked Baraka in this game.
I did too. Like, well,
I mean, they basically just turned him into Orc from Shadow of Mordor. To be fair, it's not really Baraka. Then again, Baraka didn't really have more of a personality than I'm a really angry man with sharp teeth. I'm not wrong.
Like, yeah, no, you're right. Like, what they've done with him in MK11 is probably like the best they've ever done with him.
Yeah.
To be
just
honest.
like Johnny with Mortal Kombat 9.
Mortal Kombat 9 they made him funnier, but MKX they kind of like made him like a better fighter. Because Johnny got his butt kicked throughout the entire MK9 story. Like, I forgot how bad it was until like I rewatched it, but like he should have died multiple times. Like, he lost by both Cyrax and Ermac, and I was so confused of why Ermac didn't kill him. Because like it made sense why Cyrax didn't do it because Raiden was in his head, but Ermac like just beats him and walks away, and I'm like, are you joking, right? Like, this guy should have been killed.
Finish him.
Man, not only is he weak to bullets, he's fucking dumb as shit.
Yeah, evidently. Or maybe like the soul. Maybe it's the souls inside of him. Like, too much are going on, he can't focus.
Too much inner conflict.
Don't kill Johnny. He's pretty cool. I thought his last movie was pretty funny.
He has like 1,000 souls telling him to do it, and like 3,000 souls telling him not to.
Darian, you poor thing.
Damn, if Shao Kahn says I don't kill Johnny Cage, maybe I won't be thrown at the bottom of the pit. Oh,
oh God, don't get me started on that. Oh gosh, don't do that. Gives this guy like the whole Rain treatment, man. Except they didn't kill Rain. They didn't kill Rain, but literally
they did kill Rain in fucking Crypt.
No, that's not. No, those are like random ninjas. I don't count that because like literally, if you go back, like if you see a purple ninja fall down to the pit, you literally can go back upstairs and see Rain fighting Blaze still. So like, nah. But like, gave him this awesome redesign just to throw him in the pit. Like,
I know. I totally. As soon as I saw the redesign, I even made a video like talking about how it could be like a possible. Like he could be possibly DLC, and then literally they like reveal Shang Tsung, and he's got like Ermac combos, and I'm like, God damn it!
Like, have you seen the picture that somebody like remodeled of Ermac?
And, yes, like, actually, I have it saved. It's really cool.
But like, it's the one where he's doing his MK3 pose.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that picture, and it makes me hate so much that Ermac's not going to be in this game.
I'm fine with Ermac not being in this game if that means he's going to be a total jobber again.
I mean, I kind of get it because they need to sit some characters out.
Yeah.
So I was kind of expecting Reptile and Ermac to sit out.
I was kind of shocked.
Just sit them out then. Don't do them so dirty. Just sit them out and forget about them for a game like Jade. Just don't even talk about them.
Oh God! Don't be started.
Mortal Kombat is the best at doing characters. Just look at the 3D era.
Oh well, look at the 3D era exactly. They were dirty from the start.
Hey.
I mean, it's hard to make shit look great.
a very small percent of the 3D era is actually good.
Oh gosh.
The rest of it is like savable, but as of right now, trash, and we'll probably never see them again. So always trash.
Like the 3D era is like the Titanic, like 3/4 mid sink. There's like 15% that arch, but you know what? Let's just let it go.
Yeah.
Pretty much. They cherry picked the ones that they want, and they pretty much just said, fuck the other ones. We'll put them in as Easter eggs. Exactly. We'll just throw Sue Hao's head in a bag and call it a day.
Yeah, that doesn't even make sense.
I know. Because Scorpion literally punched a hole.
Oh no, that's just a nod to Ed Boon saying, yeah, this character's fucking trash.
Exactly. He just really doesn't like it.
Dude, I don't get it.
I kind of get it.
Dude, I know Sue Hao is like the best 3D era character. He's my favorite one.
He's not my favorite, but I don't think he deserves all the disrespect.
He's so awesome. He really is.
But
it's actually one of my favorite Mortal Kombat characters in general.
In anything, why not?
Okay, Nick, I don't know if you're joking yet. I'm kind of.
If there's a tumor, it's growing and it's starting to pulse.
Can anybody say that about Sue Hao and be like genuine though?
I actually met somebody.
I'd love to.
I can.
Yeah, but like they may say that, but it's like, I don't know, man. Like I feel like it's still subconsciously for the memes. Because Sue Hao is just like, now at this point, his name is just tainted. Like all the fans are just like, oh dude, Ed Boon hates him, so he sucks.
Yeah,
it's kind of this simply came from me taking the piss out of Sue Hao to now literally everyone I know in the Mortal Kombat community taking the piss out of Sue Hao. It's like, to be fair, it's kind of gotten out of hand, but you know what? I'm proud of it.
It is.
What an accomplishment.
But I mean, like, when we look at, I don't want to shit on the 3D characters for the sake of shitting on the 3D characters, but I mean, the problem is with a lot of the 3D characters, they had such big, like, mantles to take up, and their designs didn't really, they weren't as charismatic as their previous, like, you know, the characters they were taking the places of. And, like, I don't know, the transition from, like, 2D to 3D was really harsh. There still is a bunch of fucking characters who we haven't even talked of who are just as bad as Sue Hao, if not so worse. Jarek.
Yep.
Kai. I mean, Kai's only appeared in 2 MK games. And, like, what was his... He was so incredibly forgettable that the only reason he ever turned up in another Mortal Kombat game was because Mortal Kombat had to have everyone. They were just kind of like, we made Kai. Guess we gotta put him somewhere.
Yep.
Let's do it. But,
I don't know. I agree. Like, he definitely is forgettable, but for some reason, the most forgettable Mortal Kombat character to me has always been Dairu.
Same.
Or however the hell you pronounce that name. Like, yeah. I don't know, man. Like
he's a headpiece for Kung Lao on 11,
he's
by the
literally
way.
the most
He's a
forgettable
shrunken
character
head
to me. Like, anytime I think about every
really?
character, he's the one that comes up.
No.
Look at Kung Lao's customizables. There should be a
God.
shrunken Dairo head you
That
can
is
actually
amazing.
put on your side.
That is all that I ever want to see of him again, anyway. That forgettable piece of garbage. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like, I literally was playing through the 3D games and I'm like, holy shit, dude, this character exists. I forgot. Like, I totally forgot that he exists. Like, I like how even the comics were like, nah, we're not using it. He's so, like, he's just like, what the fuck? Like, what even is about, like, what is his gimmick? What's his shtick?
Yeah.
He's
a mercenary.
really ugly.
Yeah, big forehead with, like, I don't know.
Speaking of comics, going back to like the power levels, didn't Kotal Khan beat up like Goro and his father too?
But, dude,
yeah,
he doesn't just beat up
God.
Goro. He like puts him on the brink of death.
Yeah,
he like rips off all his
kicked
arms and is like, "I am the man now. I'm the captain now."
I am the captain.
I am the captain now.
Literally, he like cuts off 2 of his arms, rips off the other 2, and then he like, I'm pretty sure he smashes Goro's father's head. Like, he like obliterates.
Oh
his
yeah,
head.
he pastes.
He makes like a joke about zombies or something. He's like, "You deal with it like the undead. You destroy the head," and then he like mega claps his head and he dies.
Well, he like snapped his
like,
neck and then
he's like a powerhouse in the comics, dude. Kotal is a beast.
Everybody is a powerhouse. Even Kano is a powerhouse in the comics, and he can't win one fucking fight.
Yeah,
well, hey, there you go. There you go.
They
That's
made the
the
comics
redeeming of
canon.
jobbers.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna explore. We're gonna explore more on the comics. Explores none of the fucking comics.
Dude, like,
great job, writers.
I still
great job.
been waiting to do a video on that, but like literally, there's only 3 references to the comment in Mortal Kombat.
I was gonna say,
great fucking job, writers.
The only one that
amazing.
like stands out to me is the one where Kotal's like, "Yeah, I fought Goro."
Sean
it's like,
Kittleson over here,
okay,
like,
there's 4, I
mystery
forgot about
woman
that.
is Jade's mom.
Oh
I was
my
just hoping for a
Dude,
flashback.
Razor from the Nethercast destroys that argument. Like, dude, no. Why?
Don't even get
Stop.
me started on that. Like, I was so heated about that.
I even had to say in my fucking video, it's debunked, everybody. Just fucking stop. Please, stop viewing this video.
Oh man, so many discussions I want to have. But
yeah, parallel.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was gonna say, getting back on topic, before we jump to the next part, I do want to state 2 things before we get there. One, as I said before, I feel like new characters fighting new characters, power levels, like, it is what it is, just because, you know, we don't know these characters. Honestly, like, Devora, she's OP. Like, Devora, like, literally killed so many characters since she's been introduced.
I used to hate her. I hate her.
I liked her.
You know who also hates her? Hanzo Hasashi.
Fuck you!
Okay, if it makes you feel better, she only managed to kill him because she snuck up behind him. If it makes you feel better.
Bullshit! No, he should have never died. Whoever thought that was a great idea should be fired.
Well, I mean, like, he's still alive, and so, like, I think they did that just to bring
As
Scorpion back. But
I don't like
we have
Scorpion.
we don't
I
like
want,
Scorpion.
I want fucking Hanzo.
You guys
do it
You
again.
guys know me. I
That's
hate
in the
Scorpion.
beginning.
So.
Everyone's dead technically, so it doesn't really matter.
No,
I mean-
they're gonna bring Scorpion back. They're never gonna mention Hanzo like Takeda. Y'all want to talk about that?
I mean, they're like, nothing matters.
I mean,
'Cause, like-
Takeda's more alive than Scorpion.
Exactly. Well,
Oh, Hanzo.
Who?
like, we
Yeah,
don't know
exactly.
what
Forgot
happened.
about him.
We don't even know what
They didn't
happened
mention
to
him at all.
He's in Shao Kahn's ending. As a spoiler.
Oh, sorry.
to
Oh,
anybody.
yeah, you're right. He gets like, yeah, you're right. Actually, Shao Kahn stomps on him and he gets like destroyed.
Yeah, I hate
Nice
that.
little
a few
Easter egg.
endings, actually.
It's pathetic.
He appears in Cassie's as well.
Yeah, but
I'm
like,
fairly
I mean,
sure.
I was expecting like, where the hell are Kung Jin and Takeda in the story? It's just like, oh, you know, forget it.
Kung Jin
Those
was
guys.
actually explained. They said that.
Really?
Yeah, Frost froze him for Cetrion.
When is that? I must have
You gotta go watch it. No, you gotta go look through the intros. Like, Fujin's dead technically. Go look at the intros.
Apparently he ain't shit.
I don't even like that.
Oh,
but
okay, going
He's
with
Combat
intros.
Pack 2 no matter what.
exactly, he's Combat Pack
Joker's
2,
gonna
but
be
I hope
DLC
they
too,
explain-
so
Okay, let's not get into
people
this
better
because
ready up.
this is gonna
I'm
get
hyped.
into deep combo.
I might. But yeah,
But-
no.
Oh God. Well,
Next question.
going back to like the last thing I wanted to explain, and I wanted to address this because this is something that's often talked about, and is one of my most hated scenes. And I think History Behind the Warrior agrees with me if I remember correctly. But as far as talking about power levels, I feel like we can't talk about this without talking about the Mortal Kombat 9 scene where Sindel kills every single good character. And
Only
a lot
that
of
because
people,
of fucking Shanks.
exactly, and a lot of people think that Sindel's like that powerful. Like some people think that she's about to come into MK11 with this combat pack and wreck people. And I just
bitch,
have to.
be a queen. Oh my god.
No, man. The only reason
I-
she's that
I
strong,
just-
she's been getting that like powerful Shao Kahn dick all the time.
Oh
apparently.
gosh! Evidently,
Yeah,
she's
now
just a gold
just
digger
a
now.
gold digger.
Exactly. Well, like I have to address that. Like first, that she's only that strong people because the whole taking Shang Tsung and all his little souls and putting it into
Sure, she
her.
did.
Exactly, and
yeah.
just that scene. Still, it just oh god! I rewatched it last night. And it was just ridiculous just to watch.
Oh,
I love
dude,
the one who
Mariah.
gets kicked in the head and that's like they're dead.
It was Jax, if I'm correct. She like grabbed his arms
Jax
and
got a
shoved
fucking
her heel in his
heel
neck.
up his.
Yeah, but someone
shame.
straight up just gets like kicked and they're like
Where
dead.
is my video on that where I
can't-
put the Unreal Tournament shit in the background?
I can't remember, but I do know that Cyber Sub-Zero's death was bullshit. Like literally, she just she hit him a few times and uppercut him.
Yeah,
and he
maybe
died.
that was it. She just like punches him and he's like, ugh.
I was just
Like, dude, you're made of steel.
Here,
You
let
He
me
pushes
look-
him away and he's like, "Oh no, I'm dead."
exactly.
Oh yeah, okay. I know who you're talking about. Give me a second.
Oh man.
Because I'm watching through it again because I put the Unreal sound effects in it. No, Cabal gets hit in the fucking heart by a heel, and then Striker gets hit.
his eyes
Striker
poked
gets
out.
hit in the face.
Smoke
face.
legitimately died.
Oh, you're
I will-
talking
I'll
about
give Smoke
Cyber
that.
Sub. He just gets uppercut and he fucking malfunctions.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
that's what I was
okay.
saying.
Jax gets a heel
so
to the
stupid.
throat.
They're like, we don't want to use this robot anymore. Fuck 'em.
Dude,
Well, he should have never
poor
got turned to a
Smoke.
robot. I'm sorry. Like,
Smoke got the worst fucking shit ever. He just gets kicked in the nuts and then gets his
Yeah.
fucking neck snapped. Like, damn, dude.
like
That's
she
rough.
she really didn't like Smoke evidently.
It's a hard knock life for Smoke.
But I
And like the worst part, like, well, maybe not the worst part, but one of the like really annoying parts about that scene, especially, is the fact that Sonya and Johnny like just make it out alive. Like, I wish they wouldn't have just been there. Like, you know, just write them out of that scene
yeah,
and have her literally slaughter everyone.
because
But it's like, no, we're just gonna have.
It wouldn't
like,
make a
Sonya and
difference,
Johnny
really,
crawl
wouldn't
away.
it? They were there if they went there.
I mean, Nightwolf, he survived it too, but and I will also say that this proved like this show kind of like
Wow.
a look at Nightwolf's power level, I guess, in a way, because he took her down. Like
Oh,
even as
yeah.
OP as she is, he still managed to kill her, which he had to sacrifice
Sunbeam
himself
style.
too. But
Yeah.
I'm actually really
That was like one of my. That was like the redeeming part of that scene.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, man, Nightwolf, you're my boy.
yeah, like I actually really like that part, just to say the least. Because like
I
as a
am so
kid, I was
excited for him.
always so fascinated by that fatality in the MK trilogy. Like I thought it was the coolest thing ever, and then have them put it in a scene. Like I actually
know.
love that part, to be honest. But it's aside from her kicking everybody's ass, I didn't care for that. And
It seems like as for Nightwolf's power level, I would say he's like a strong fighter on his own. No stronger, not even like on the top of the list or anything. But I feel like that's like his trump move.
yeah,
Like that's just like with that move, it sets him a lot higher. But without it, he's just kind of average. You know what I mean?
well, I mean, I won't say he's like average.
Not average. Like I'm not trying to downplay him at all. Like he definitely is one of the more powerful like fighters in that sense. But
Mhm.
I just mean like whenever you compare him to like Onaga or Blade.
Oh no, yeah.
or Shao Kahn. I'm just saying, like, I'm not trying to make him sound OP, but with
Mhm.
that one attack, it definitely brings him a lot higher on the scale than he would be normally.
Yeah, okay, I agree with that. But that's just one of the issues with certain characters, which we're gonna eventually talk more about that in the future. But with certain characters, you just don't get to see them enough, or you get to see them do enough to kind of like really just gauge like how strong this character actually is.
Exactly.
Because like even with Kai not even being, a relevant character whatsoever, this guy was actually trained by Liu Kang. So like it's like I'm kind of curious to see what he could have did.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that's the thing. Like, other than these little biographies and like I don't know, tidbits in the old comic books. Maybe there's not much to go off these characters, like you said. So we don't even know how strong they are. Like most of the 3D era, because most of them didn't have any screen time in the story modes, or even if they did, it was very limited.
And really just coming on to get your ass kicked.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can't even think of many feats from many of the 3D era characters.
Yep.
Like generic ones, you know what I mean? Like there's.
Yeah, and
they need to be rewritten.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not knowing how Frost is, no, I don't
think NetherRealm Studios understands that. Like, and this is for a different video because like I can go on and on about this, but just to like kind of like just throw a little bit out there, just I think they don't understand their fans well. It's because like I feel like a lot of times they'll hear something and take it the wrong way. Like why people don't like the 3D era characters is mainly because they weren't developed well, and I feel like they take it as a they don't like them, just don't put them in kind of thing. And
pretty much.
And like the same thing can be kind of said like the cameo situation that happened with MKX. Like a lot of people complain, but they didn't realize that people complaining that we were fighting characters who aren't in the game, but they took it as let's not put any characters in as a cameo in the story. And I'm just like, that's like while that is a bit of an, I ain't gonna say like an issue, but you know, we would still like to see these characters like be playable. I mean, cameos are still pretty cool to me. The issue is more so fighting these characters and not fighting the characters and not being able to play them, like Cyrax and Sector and MK11. Like I just feel like there's no reason they shouldn't be DLC in the Kombat Pack 2. But that's a whole discussion for something else. But getting back on the topic, let's go ahead and go to like the second question finally, and I want to ask you guys, which I mean we kind of touched on this a bit already, but what do you think is the problem with the inconsistencies they have with power level, and how do you think that NetherRealm Studios can fix it? And just to kind of like throw a few things out there myself, I just want to say that 3 of the big problems I think they have is that they force fights, and they should kind of like just change up their formula to something different. And I know that History Behind the Warrior pretty much dragged the fuck out of the Street Fighter story earlier. I will say the one thing that they did right is their chapter system thing, kind of like how they had it where and you're not forced to be this character in the chapter and make them fight these impossible battles, but like literally it can be anybody who's in this scene at one moment. You might be playing as a good character in this moment to kick this person's butt, but then switch to a bad character to kick this person's butt. And if they were to do that, and instead of having chapters be focused on one character and just give the chapter a theme and a title, I feel like that would be one way to kind of fix some of the inconsistencies. But starting back down with History Behind the Warrior, like what do you think is some of the problem with the inconsistencies, and how could they fix it?
All right, so the thing is with power level, like I said, it's going to be an issue. So if they were to prioritize how things work in story mode and how they should structure it, is they need to structure characters. How do they protect said characters, and how do they utilize them in the right way? So let's go back to the whole topic about Nightwolf, because I completely forgot about this till just now. We were talking about how strong Nightwolf was, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's the first character to get beaten in Scorpion's chapter in MK9. So, like I said, it needs to come to priority of choosing between... Like, if we're going to set up Nightwolf, like, hypothetically that strong, why don't we just throw out any other character except him for that chapter? Yeah. If you had protected Nightwolf, then I feel like his power would have had more value by Sindel's chapter instead of him losing to Scorpion. But I'm not taking anything away from that character. But the thing is, like, if you're able to protect a character and give him more worth that way, just kind of like... I know it might seem like, you know, you're purposely writing someone out. But if you're having everyone fight everyone and then you expect the character who's got their shit crammed in to beat the biggest, you know, fucking Armageddon creator of the entire game, you kind of do need to protect them in that right, because if you don't, then you do inadvertently kind of take away their value and make them weak. So you need to prioritize how you want to like structure your story, the characters you protect, the characters that you're willing to have be beaten up. Like, look, as we said with Baraka, we know he's gonna get beaten up. Reptile, we know he's gonna get beaten up. Omak, we know he's gonna get beaten up.
Unfortunately,
Like those are characters we are naturally going to accept that are gonna get beaten up because those characters are used to put over other characters. But we need to find like this line of where it merges well together and you're able to protect characters and conserve them for their moment. Because if you just don't do that, then you get a really, really messy, bad situation. Like, let's say hypothetically, if we were, let's say it's MKX. Let's say we play a fair bit of Kung Jin from that chapter, but from every point, that point onwards, in every chapter, we see him at least get beaten the shit out of once by a different character every time. And then by the end of the game, he's able to defeat Shinnok. How bad would that be? Because there's no protection of the character. You're not conserving. You're not doing anything. I mean, even if it was Cassie, in fact, Cassie does apply to this because she got beaten up in Devora's trailer, chapter. But if Cassie was beaten up in literally every single chapter up to the end of it, that would be extremely problematic. Like that's why her one loss to Tanya, I'm like, all right, that's shit, but whatever. But if it's consistent, you're not protecting characters, you're not building them up, then you are a shit writer. You are just purposely setting yourself up to fall, and it's going to come out in the worst possible way, and the outcome will be both unsatisfying and the product will be disappointing. So there needs to be this fine line of how you structure your story, the characters you're willing to conserve, the characters you're willing to throw away, the characters who you will let be killed off by other particular characters, and the risks that you are going to take that help protect and expand the universe. There needs to be a structure to it, and right now, it just seems like it is kind of all over the place. And I think that's also another massive problem with power levels in general in the game. Because the thing is, you can only protect a certain character for a certain amount of time till the next big thing gets here. The same thing with Cassie, same thing with Corrupted Shinnok. It's like from MKX to MK11, we've gone from fighting god-like deities to basically galaxy-level deities with Cetrion. That we need to kind of establish the strong characters, the limitations, and then assert these new characters and their limitations, and so on and so forth. Because there needs to be some form of structure. If there's no structure, then everything kind of falls apart.
Dude, I 100% agree with that, honestly. And like that's just, and they were to like just kind of like abide by that, kind of like set these standards and where like everybody kind of stand. I feel like that would just make writing the story better as far as like the chapter system go. They decide to like keep with that because then who to leave out of the scene and to who bring in the scene and who to pit them up against.
It just makes them a little bit more coherent, honestly. Like I know, like I said, it may be wrapping up characters in particular cotton wool to conserve them, but I'd much prefer those characters being, conserved and kept away from the story than be purposely beaten up in the scenes because someone needs to get beaten up and then expect them to win at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But hey, man, like that's just me. I don't know about you guys.
No, I agree. But Nick, what do you think as far as like problems with the inconsistencies and how NetherRealm Studios can fix it?
Well, I think how they could like fix it there's a few different ways. So an easy fix would be even if they could just rationalize the fights more. So I mean, yeah, obviously in games like Mortal Kombat 9, if you're going to have a chapter for Stryker, who is a noticeably weaker character than most on the roster, it's going to be hard pressed for him to pretty much win against any bad guy. So of course there's going to be some far-fetched wins. So even if they could just try and rationalize it, explain it somehow, kind of like with what they did with Jackie or Jax beating Cetrion in Mortal Kombat 11 due to that helmet thing, crown. If they could just rationalize it more, or even show in a cutscene, like that was mentioned earlier, how the only really way that these characters could win is if they have an edge in the fight. So even if they could just animate and show us that edge. So for like example, I don't know, Stryker would shoot Kintaro in the kneecaps and like keep him down for, I don't know, like just try and make it somewhat rational instead of just kind of like Stryker versus Kintaro, and then in the next cutscene, Kintaro is just laying flat on the ground and Stryker's like, I've won. It's like, okay, that's kind of hard to believe, but alrighty. Even if they could just somewhat make it believable or try, it's just like they take all these characters with power levels and they don't even care. They're just like, this character's in the story, so we need to put him here, and this guy's gonna win, so whatever. Like they flip a coin or something. So I wish they would just think a little bit more about it and kind of be able to execute the scenes better. And another way would be kind of like, I found the comics were helpful for that, because you're not playing the comic books, you're reading them. So you have more of a narrative then. It's not so constricted by the game and the way that the game has to be directed. It's a comic book. So I feel like they can do a lot more with characters fighting other characters. That's why I really liked the comics, was because we got to see stuff like Goro versus Kotal Khan, and Scarlet versus Melina and whatever, and things that they just did better in the comics because it's not constricted by like chapter systems and anything that the game kind of, you know what I mean? I find it binds it.
Yeah. And there's actually something I wanted to address that you said, now I kind of think I forgot. Oh yeah, okay, so like the idea also of, I mean, it's the simple fact that when you beat somebody, they're going to hit the ground, they're down, it's going to look like you completely overwhelmed that character. But there's certain scenes to like where after like the fight's over, there's like an explanation to like what happened afterwards, like, which we already talked about a little bit with the Jackie thing with the crown. But like another example would be, there's 3 examples I had. There's the MK9 when Sonya beat up Raiden, and after that, Raiden was still on the ground, and he looks at her and he's like, "Cover your eyes," and she's like, "What?" And he blind Shang Tsung and all of them, and it was like kind of like explained that he let her beat him just so he can kind of cause that distraction. And MKX when Kung Jin beat Raiden, he kind of like, "Oh, you wanted me to attack you because you wanted me to release my anger," kind of thing. Like he's like, "Yeah, I let you beat me." And same thing with Scorpion beating Kuai Liang and MKX as well. He wasn't trying to fight him. He was trying to get him to understand. Like, I'm here for a peace thing.
He was trying to keep peace and like have tea with him and everything. He didn't want to fight. He wanted to have a tea party. So no, I totally know what you're saying though. Like I just wish they would focus more on that instead of having 3 occasions. Have like most or majority of the fights have that. And I don't mean they have to shoehorn every time and say, "Oh, I've won because bullets or whatever." But like if they could even just show it, like I said, in a cut scene or rationalize it by an explanation, it would just go a lot farther than character A beats character B because the plot needs to go on.
It could be as simple as like choosing good characters. Like if you're gonna do a chapter system, do it with like characters you think that could be other characters. Like how Nick said, their choice of having Stryker be like one of the chapter characters that they get to fight as. Like why? You could have chose somebody else.
Don't match him with Kentaro.
Yeah, exactly. So just don't match him
just
up
don't
with
do that.
those characters.
Do it with Kano.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Kano is a horrible jobber, but
yeah, like it would make more sense though if it was like somebody like Kano, because it's more on his level.
Yeah, exactly. Like either choose better characters for your chapter system, or choose characters that that they realistically could beat up. Like don't choose Kentaro to fight Stryker. It just make no fucking sense.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was trying to say about the comics. Like that's why I like the comics. Comics can use any Mortal Kombat character and literally have them fight any other Mortal Kombat character. It's not like 25 characters in the roster, and that's why Stryker's there and he has to fight one of these other 25, right? It's so like specific. So that's why the comic books is almost like a better narrative for Mortal Kombat. And I hate to say that because obviously I love the games, but that's why I always wanted to see like a Mortal Kombat like Telltale game. Obviously that won't happen, but I always thought something like that would be really cool, where NetherRealm could hand off Mortal Kombat to another writer, sort of like what they did with Sean, and like let them kind of deal with their interpretation of the characters and everything.
I mean, that would be interesting. I just feel like it would also like bring about the idea of possibly mucking things up a little bit, Because I mean,
yeah,
we saw what happened with the comics, how there were like a lot of plot holes, even though it's
that's
still
what I mean.
canon,
Like,
there was this issues just because
if NRS could really work together with them, because I feel like the comics were like I said, I think they just gave them a rough draft of the story, and they didn't tell them anything about the Mortal Kombat X story mode, so that kind of was where the gap was made.
Yeah, but like then, crap, what was I gonna say? It also was just like an issue as far as like, kind of like piecing things together. So if they were to kind of do that again, it would just, I feel like it could be a little bit mucky. Even though I think it would be really interesting to see. I mean, NetherRealm Studios themselves, though, they don't even have their own story together. So
yeah,
like
exactly.
it might cause some issues trying to do that. But truth be told, I honestly would like to see that. Like, I really want them to bring the comics back because I just like the way they were able to kind of tell the characters and actually focus on some characters and like kind of flush them out a bit. Like I was,
we have free reign.
Yeah,
like they could do anything.
Like I was really amazed with
Havoc.
the comics. Like like the comics actually made me like characters like Reiko and Havoc more. Heck, I even like Shiva more after the comics. Like they did really good with the comics, and I would like to see them do something like that again, just so they can kind of like better develop some characters. But I mean, it would have to be done right.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like the comics could be like a good way to bridge the gap between game to game if they wanted to do it, but they had to do it right. Like in the last comic case, they didn't really do that well because obviously, like Nick said, it feels like they didn't give them like the full story of what's going to happen in X. So they kind of messed it up with all these like plot holes. But if they actually told them, and like it could actually be a good way to bridge the gap from game to game. But unfortunately, that hasn't worked out so far.
I mean, they've only done it once, so they could do it again. But I mean, they're racing everything and starting all over again. So I mean, we have to wait and see where they go with this. But Survive. Like, what are your thoughts as far as like fix this? And
I even though Street Fighter story mode is shitty, I will give him the doubt that they at least got the fucking level straight, where it's like, I think it was in the beginning where I played as Bison and I beat the shit out of Chun-Li. I was like, huh, you know what? That was actually pretty fun.
Exactly.
Playing as a bad guy. So I because of that, I made an entire video, I think about a year ago on that. And that's why I wanted that system for Mortal Kombat 11 was because when it comes to power levels, either I think that in the in Mortal Kombat X, so that entire scene where the combat kids are breaking out of the boat, I don't think every one of them should have won, or at least Takeda should win every fight. I feel like some of the bad guys should win, and then some of the combat kids could win. They don't have to fucking die, but they would just get in there at the nick of time. But
you got to remember the jobbers were Ermac, Tal, and Aaron Black though.
Dude, Aaron Black. I think that one pissed me off the most for Mortal Kombat 11.
But see, they don't have to be jobbers. They're jobbers because of this messed up power level things.
Yeah.
I mean, Ermac definitely shouldn't be a jobber. Reptile's understandable. Aaron Black is understandable to a degree.
Why is Frost a jobber?
She shouldn't have been. I mean, like that. Granted, she got beaten by reasonable people, though. I will at least say that much. Because you beat her with either Sub-Zero or Scorpion, and then you beat her with Raiden. Which
I know why Frost is a jobber.
Oh,
because they don't know how to fucking write 3D air.
Because she sucks, dude.
Oh, shots fired.
Don't say that with Sleepy for.
Hey, at least she didn't die like Hanzo, though. So
you know what? You know what?
That's very debatable.
Actually, yeah.
Oh no, it actually said that she, like the same person that said that Katana didn't kill Shao Kahn, said that Frost didn't die either. He just used her head to kind of take out all the other robots.
I kind of have to call all that shit bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I mean, like I said,
anyone who played the game and sees that,
we're taking this from the guy that
I
questioned
it, but like, I mean,
no, we're taking this from the guy that says the mystery woman.
I mean, I'll believe.
I'm not gonna take that.
True, but unless you're the one writing the story, you shouldn't. then you're not actually the one, really. You know, you can take it for what you will, but if you're not writing the story at the end of the day, it's not really your story.
Exactly.
What story is there? They're gonna reboot it again.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, it doesn't really, like, who cares whatever they say? Like, okay, yeah, Shao Kahn didn't die, Frost didn't die, okay, whatever. But still, they technically all did die because they're all starting back from the beginning. So all that doesn't really matter.
The fact that they even have to say that proves something, though. Like
exactly.
The fact that they have to go on Twitter and be like, "Well, you know, they're not dead. Like, you know, we just made it look like she died." You know.
Well, they went to the beginning of time, so technically they're not alive. So like, does it really?
I mean,
matter?
why does it matter? Like you said, they're rebooting it, so really, why does it matter who's dead and alive anyway? They're just gonna reset it and say that everyone's alive again anyway. That really disappointed me. I was like, come on, guys, you can do better.
No.
I just, like I said before, I think how to fix this is, one, get rid of the goddamn chapter system. I do not want to see that back from Kombat 12. If I see that goddamn system back in Mortal Kombat 12, it will really, really be a judgment on if I will pre-order the next Mortal Kombat.
Well, I would say more so, don't make the chapters based on the characters. Like I think we talked about this before in one of the discussions. Instead, give it a theme, like give it like a title, and then
Street Fighter
different
had
characters, or like Axe,
Yeah, they had axed with different characters, but it was all based on a setting.
Yeah,
which is kind of like what you're talking. Yeah.
Two,
how to fix this? Don't put people against characters where it's like, okay, now what the fuck? Like, I think the Nethercast's thing on Katana was she shouldn't have been the only one beating him. She should have at least had help from Shao Kahn and Kung Lao, and then it would have made sense. But her to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna break Kotal Khan's back and then just immediately gets beat by Katana. No, I
Wait, I forget how it all played out. Didn't Shao Kahn get like stabbed at some point, like before he fought Katana?
I thought that. Oh fuck, who was it?
Kotal, right?
Kotal Khan's act.
Oh, okay. All right. Well then, never mind then. Yep, it's still bullshit.
It's like power level is really bad in Kombat. Like I can't think of any other fucking game that's bad with power levels. Because like I'm not a Dragon Ball fan, so I wouldn't know about Dragon Ball and their fucking.
Be fair, I can work with comics as well.
Oh yeah,
a lot of
video very horrible with comics.
It's not just NetherRealm. Like a lot of video games, cliches and fighting, and of course the bad guy is going to lose, and sometimes it's like
I want the bad guy to win. Like that's why I liked the 3D era so much, was because fucking bad guy, or like once you went from Deadly Alliance, from like having Liu Kang, these aren't bad guys, and he didn't really die, but Shao Kahn and everybody else fucking die. You're like, oh well, what's Earthrealm gonna do? And then you watch the Deception cinematic, and they're like, oh, okay, so everybody's fucked. Great, I like that.
And I mean,
that's actually not a bad idea. You know, having the bad guy or bad guys win, like for like a whole story.
Shinnok should have won with Mortal Kombat X, and that's a power level thing. Like, well, like okay,
what would have happened to the story then? Think about that. Like, where would they have went if Shinnok would have won?
Think of some creative, instead of just like going.
I mean, you say that, but we also had the use of Chekhov's gun in that. Depends on how creative you want to get, because either way, with the situation that was put at hand, you're gonna have to use like some kind of plot armor related thing, whether or not it was Cassie or another character. That would have been the situation regardless of who it ever was. If you buff up a character that hard and you put them in a situation where no character can beat them, then guess what? You got a situation where you got to have a ex machina tidy up the mess. That's the problem. It's the same thing with Shevchenko. It's the same thing with even Blaze up to a certain extent. You know, where you need to acquire all of those fucking bits and bobs in order to beat him. You know, that is the problem. When you make a character so incredibly strong, it's like, you know what? Perfect example, since we just mentioned comics, fucking Superman.
Oh God.
Yeah, we're going there. We're going there.
In
I
all
need to be
fairness,
Injustice
I don't
story
even-
is
I don't even
someone
like
who
Superman.
either
I'm
is-
sorry.
magic, kryptonite, or someone who punches him really, really fucking hard. Why? Because you've made a character so incredibly powerful there are only certain ways you can end up beating him at the end of the day.
Or alien acid blood. That works too.
Yeah, it's just like I said, when you write a character a particular way and like make him so incredibly strong, there's only going to be like a certain way you can actually beat him, and sometimes it isn't for the better. It's actually for the worst.
God, I have my whole can of beans on Injustice and why it's an uninspiring piece of shit game or story. But
That's for another live stream.
yeah. But
Fuck that, I'm not touching that again.
well, NetherRealm has some pretty bad power level shit with Injustice, but
The problem with DC as a whole is there's been so many different writers and so many different iterations of all the characters that it's really hard to pinpoint power levels on certain characters because there are like 5 different Supermans that come to mind, like different versions of him with all extremely different power levels. Like if you pit like movie Superman up against Superman Prime, it's a joke.
Yeah,
or
it's
like
kinda fucked.
Silver Age Superman. I believe he's the one who sneezed and destroyed like a solar system. Like there are ways that certain characters are written in DC and really in any comics, it's like Marvel too, that it's just like it's so hard to like so you really have to specify, like that's why you see online in debates, it's like when you see like Goku versus Superman, usually they specify it's like Saiyan Saga Goku versus New 52 Superman or stuff like that, because there's just so many iterations that it starts to become kind of a headache to try and include everything.
God, did you guys see that Ben 10 shit and how much shit?
Oh, dude, I stopped watching Death Battle years ago, dude. They're so
dude, the hate that episode has gotten.
I stopped watching it when they said Kirby was Tom dude. Yeah. Dude, same.
Yeah. I felt they had that in X though. Like we shouldn't give them a pass anymore. It's like, well, 11, you definitely had this. What the fuck? Yeah, of course. I love Ishii. Yeah, I might be, depending on what they do with 12. I might be.
I can never be done with Mortal Kombat. I love it.
Like
too
if it's
much.
not for the story,
I might
it's
be
just for
done
the
with the
gameplay.
new games.
Like I might stop caring so much about the story if they're gonna keep letting it slip. But I'm definitely not gonna stop caring about the series or the games. Like I'll always love playing them, and like fighting games as a whole are one of my favorite types of games, and Mortal Kombat being one of my favorite type of fighting games. That's just something I can't drop. Like especially after all the time I've put into like Mortal Kombat 9 and X, I can't stop liking it now. Yeah.
Shit.
That's all.
I think I have it. Number one is Ermac. Even though, like, I'm gonna disregard all the story shit. I'm gonna do it just based on what the character is and what the character can do. Number one is Ermac. Number two, probably Shao Kahn. And before all the Mortal Kombat 11 shit, this dude has conquered like how many fucking realms? Like, you have to be one strong motherfucker to conquer all that many realms. You said 5, right? Liu Kang is up there as well because, of course, he is the champion of Mortal Kombat. With all of his feats, like I said, disregarding all the new timeline shit. Liu Kang was the winner up until Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, which he won 4 consecutive games. For the other two, I'm not really sure. I had I have a basis, like, of course, Shao Kahn, Ermac, and Liu Kang, but like I can't think of other two. Yeah. Mr. Anime. Yeah.
Okay,
You know
so you
what?
said from like
That is
MK,
Maybe
like
Quan
ever?
Chi. I'll
bullshit,
maybe
though.
throw Quan Chi up in that bitch.
No.
With the
Whoever
shit
said that
he's
about
done,
Shinnok
with
is
the
not
shit
thinking
he's done
straight.
during the Mortal Kombat games, there.
I know, but they're not thinking straight, dude. There's no way. Yeah, but
Fallen
like they
overdog,
know
though.
they just say things and they don't prove it. It's so sad.
Yeah,
Like
that's
Shao
my problem
Kahn,
with Mortal Kombat.
Blaze, and Onaga have all shown so many more feats to prove that they're stronger than Shinnok. And it's like, nah, dude, Shinnok's strong. It's literally because he's an elder god. That's like the only reason that they can give. Like I hear where you're coming from. It's not your fault because the writers approved it. I just wish that the writers would like put some background to these statements. And it's like half the lore and half all this proof and shit is found on Twitter from these people. It's like it's kind of sad, man.
Yeah,
like,
they're like J.K. Rowling 2.0.
yeah,
Fuck.
like
Okay.
I wish they could do some good writing. But
I just hold on.
I'll
One
just
second.
jump in and
One
say,
second.
oh,
I think I realized I was actually muted the whole time. I forgot to fix it because I muted it a second ago. But just to go back on what I was saying, we're talking about top 5 strongest characters in the series, and I said Kronika, who was it? Kronika, Cetrion, Shinnok, Liu Kang, and Onaga. Just to kind of let everybody know what I said while I was muted, but you guys go ahead.
All right, who's up next?
I guess I'll just get mine out of the way. So basically, I've always saw like Blaze, Onaga, and Shao Kahn as three of the most powerful Mortal Kombat characters.
Same.
And obviously, it's because they were their respective main bosses, so they're going to be powerful. I don't know. I just always saw them as being like 3 powerhouses, especially because they're so big. Like that kind of maybe adds to their intimidation factor. But like I just found out of a lot of the Mortal Kombat characters, none of them really were quite as powerful as them in terms of villains, anyways. Like in terms of what they've shown, because I know, like you said, Shinnok is confirmed more powerful or whatever. But to me, it's like I find that really hard to believe. Like in what we've actually seen from Shinnok and the others, I find that extremely hard to believe. Like other than that tweet, there is no really foundation behind that statement. But aside from them, like I know how you said like Fire God Liu Kang is kind of like it throws a wrench in everything because he's like OP as fuck.
Yeah.
So I even aside from him though, I was always thinking that Liu Kang was one of the more powerful Mortal Kombat characters.
Same.
Like he is basically the main character and he's the champion. So I mean, it's just there's no argument there really. I don't think. And Raiden, just because he's a god, and I mean, if you want to get technical, he fried Liu Kang. So
I actually meant to. When I originally like refined this list, I actually meant to take Naga off and put Raiden and they said in every timeline Raiden always kills Liu Kang, so that means he's stronger than Liu Kang.
Yeah, and I mean like, it's just like there's just certain sticks to Raiden that kind of prove that he's stronger than most characters, or at least he has more plot armor, I guess you could say.
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, he is I really hate referring to what he is because technically he's a demigod now is what they consider him, but like
yeah, he's a god. I've always called him a god.
Yeah,
I'm not changing it now.
Exactly. So it's like he's strong. Like there's no doubt.
Absolutely.
That. And after this whole little MK11 fiasco, I mean, I guess they did kind of make sense because I mean, they didn't. No, they never. Did they pin up Liu Kang and Raiden in the original timeline? I mean, they kind of like brought it up out of nowhere in the MK11 story. And it's like, oh yeah, they fought on the pyramid, even though we didn't actually get to see that. But
yeah,
I mean,
but I think Raiden at his like peak is obviously when he's Dark Raiden with Shinnok's amulet. Like that is obviously him at his most powerful state. And then the only thing I want to say in return to what you were saying about Cetrion and Kronika, again, I kind of base things like that off what we see. So I did a whole video on Kronika, and I was really disappointed in her. I'm not going to get into that, but in the short and the long of it was, I didn't like how little she showed power-wise besides the hourglass. Like basically, the whole game is just her charging up the hourglass, and that's like her whole source of power. So it's kind of just like her on her own isn't that powerful, and we don't see much of her. And another one of my main issues is how easily she is beaten at the end of the game. Like no struggle at all. Like Liu Kang just chops her up and gone. Bye. See you later.
Yeah.
And I understand that Fire God Liu Kang is extremely powerful, but it's like they really did a bad job at trying to make Kronika really powerful. And Cetrion was even more so because she's like a jobber basically throughout the whole game.
Well, I mean,
so
Cetrion...
I know what you're saying because in lore wise, like it would make sense for them to be the most powerful, but I'm totally just basing my opinions off what we see, and we don't really see a whole lot coming from them, like power wise, compared to other characters.
With Cetrion, you don't get to see it, but she kills all the other elder gods. So I mean,
yeah, that is true. Like something. That is true. You're right. Like and that's what I said. Dude, in that premise, she is, but I don't know. Like, just I guess based off what we've seen, she's getting Jackie and Jax with a crown on, right? And I know that ties into the whole problem of what we're talking about, but. I totally agree with what you're saying. Like logically, Kronika and Cetrion would be two of the most powerful, but just from what I've seen, it's hard to say that. You know what I mean? I hope you understand. Like,
no, I definitely get it.
Okay, well that's basically my list. Though is in no specific order: Shao Kahn, Blaze, Onaga, Raiden, and Liu Kang.
Okay,
that's exactly what mine is.
Fuck no.
No. Well, I mean, if I wanted to put it in like an actual order, I think it'd be like maybe like Blaze, Onaga, Shao Kahn, and Raiden, and then Liu Kang. But
okay,
I mean,
shit. Okay, well, hey man, great minds think. It's not a bad thing.
Well, like the only reason why I have it is because like in the pyramid, you know, like in Armageddon, it's literally like Shao Kahn and Raiden facing off. So
exactly.
It's like, you know, they have to be like at least top 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
And,
exactly.
You know, Onaga is meant to be like one of like the most powerful characters. Blaze literally brings Armageddon, so it's like, okay, so you know, obviously those have to be the top 2, and then Shao Kahn and Raiden are probably like equal or close, and then there's Liu Kang at number 5. that's like, that's what I have to say. That's
yeah, I
list.
definitely see where you're coming from with that list, though.
I'm guessing purely from a lore perspective, we have to throw up Fire God Liu Kang in there because it just feels like how they wrote him and like the shit that he could do by the end of the trailer. Let us say trailer story mode. It was kind of ridiculous in that sense. I feel like there's definitely some untapped potential with that, but of course, first time we ever get fusion between arguably two of the strongest protagonists in the series. You can definitely expect something quite strong. Plus, main character plot armor. I'm even way stronger than before. That's gonna after Fire God Liu Kang, this one's I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of ties here because there's either not enough development or some ideas that I think actually do work here. Second spot goes to Kronika, which is kind of obvious, but I've actually have it tied with another character who we haven't got enough development with, but who I suspect is also a Titan, and that's the One Being. We ain't seen anything about him, but we know that he's definitely a greater being than that of the Elder Gods. So I'm presuming he's a Titan, and if he's a Titan, I'm gonna stack him up there with Kronika, because if she can bend will to a time, bend like time at her will and shit like that, then God knows what the One Being was actually capable of.
Can I say one thing then? Thinking about
oh
it
yeah,
now.
fire.
One, I forgot about the one bit, like to include the One Being, because I was kind of thinking on like a smaller scale. But since we are talking about the One Being, and Mike is saying that the One Being is above the Titans, but
we don't know anything about it.
I will say where there is a bit of a confusion as far as like the lore goes, which they don't got their own lore together. It said that the One Being was controlling the actions of Onaga and Shao Kahn and even Shinnok, yet Kronika said she was doing that. So I mean,
exactly
that would be crazy if they try to like deconfirm things and just be like, oh, Kronika's the One Being or some stupid crap like that. But like,
well, maybe Kronika is the One Being.
That's what I was getting at. So it's just like I don't know. That's why like I wouldn't necessarily include the One Being in this, but it's just like we just really don't know enough. They literally have been sprinkling things over the years, and I don't want to give it too much just because, I mean, they did this whole thing with Jade for to lead up to nothing, so we just really don't know.
Could be something, could be nothing, but I feel like it's at least worth mentioning here.
Yeah.
Because again, it's like, again, another classic case of Mortal Kombat writing, where it's a plot thread that has eluded us for a very long amount of time, so I felt like it was at least worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Of course, I had to put up Setri on here, because like you said, with her killing the other Elder Gods, we did see some feats of strength from her in the story mode, like during Scorpion's chapter before he dies, where she's like bridging two continents together.
Oh, that was I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's a bit of a brief scene, but it's kind of display of her strength, and I'm just kind of like, she holds Elder God status. She knows how to kill other Elder Gods, direct descendant of Kronika. I feel like that kind of gives her a little bit of an edge over most of the competition. So yeah, I felt like I'd stack her up there, despite her being terribly written in the story mode. It actually makes me sad because I kind of have a bit of a soft spot for Cetrion, and I think the story mode really just kind of like made me feel really sad for the character. Blaze, this one's another tie, so it's between Blaze and Onaga. The reason why Blaze isn't above Onaga here, despite the Mortal Kombat series having like a boss be stronger than another boss and so on and so forth, is just because we don't see that like a proper display of Blaze's strength compared to Onaga in Deception's opening. Yep. Like we just kind of see Blaze get really upset that people are stepping on his turf, but it would have been nice to have actually like seen him like get some more screen time, some proper screen time to show off his strength. I'm stacking him up there with Onaga because, of course, villain after Onaga, so he'll, as expected, he would be stronger. And I mean, Onaga's a juggernaut. Just guy's a complete powerhouse, and needed, much like Shinnok, a plot armory character in order to defeat him. And even when he was sealed in the Nether, nah, mate, fuck that, I'm out of here. So again, Onaga's definitely up there. There's a lot of ties here because I feel like a lot of these characters could be tied together in many ways, shape, and form. Now this one's a bit of a trifecta again, tie. It's tied between Shao Kahn, Raiden, and Shinnok. Now, the reason why Shao Kahn isn't above these characters is despite his massive feats of strength and being able to conquer almost everything he touches, everything from MK1 onwards is basically him taking the biggest fucking L of his life up until Armageddon. And even then, we don't know how he acquires Blaze's strength. For all we could know, he could have blindsided Blaze and just taken it that way. We just don't know in that respect. Like, he's extremely powerful, but it's just, like, it's really weird.
I was going to say, my brother said there's an intro where, I think he said it was an intro, where Cetrion, or someone explained that Shao Kahn actually took Blaze's power somehow. My brother was trying to explain it to me yesterday. And also, I was going to say sorry.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, there's one more thing. Like, the only thing I can say with that, though, is if you have Shao Kahn tied with them, you have to have Liu Kang play somewhere, because Shao Kahn has never not once beaten Liu Kang.
Oh, no, that's why I stuck up, like, Fire God Liu Kang at the top.
Yeah, I forgot you said Fire God. Never mind. Okay, never mind. Ignore me. Go, Ulterior. You can go ahead and say what you want to say.
Sorry. I will. I just rewatched, like, the intro of Armageddon. And Shinnok doesn't even make it up like the actual pyramid. And
really?
Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah. What a bitch.
He traps Dark Raiden with his like little bone hands, and then he just zaps him and he's gone. And then Onaga just comes up like pretty much towards the top, and he takes Shao Kahn and he flies away. So it's like okay.
Yeah, I mean,
so it doesn't really make any sense.
Well, Mike is in the he's the guy from the Kombat Encyclopedia, and he's actually talking about how, and in the chat, how much like Shinnok actually needs to be powerful, which, you know, I guess I didn't take that into consideration either, even though that they tried to say canonically he's the strongest villain before MK11. So I mean when you want to throw that into like the equation, yeah, he really isn't that strong without needing other things to kind of make him stronger.
Yeah, to be fair, he only makes it up on this list because of his Elder God status. That's the only reason. Like that's why I've placed Cetrion above him, because at least Cetrion showed off some feats of strength and she's able to kill other gods, whereas Shinnok is basically useless without the amulets. He's like gets nerfed to fuck without it. So that's why of the three choices, I have Shinnok at the very, very last, because although I do think he's strong, sorry, a bit of coughing fit at the moment. He can't stack up to the likes of Shao Kahn and Raiden in many cases. I think Raiden's extremely strong. They just don't know how to write him. Like in the comics, literally when he gets tainted by Blood God magic and he explodes on the battlefield, he takes out everyone in a blink. But when he's in the story mode, he's like, I need to consult the Elder Gods because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Literally every decision. So, that's why I have Raiden. Yeah, it's like, I have Raiden up there, but without the right form of writing, he's literally the equivalent of a potato. Like those I can't really say it's my 5 characters because I feel like many of them do work with each other and do stack well up against each other. But yeah, sorry, I'm back on shitting on Raiden again. Oh my god, how did this?
It always comes back to shitting on Raiden.
Oh yeah.
I will give Raiden this. It's hard to not forget that whenever Raiden's put in Outworld, he's weaker, and you have to kind of remember that, which. It's kind of funny because I tend to forget it because I always saw it at first as just like a movie thing because, you know, he said it in the movie, but he also says in MK9 that his powers are compromised in Outworld. So, I mean, anytime you kind of like see a fight with him in Outworld, you have to keep in mind that he's weaker.
I think we're giving him too much of a pass.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that is true. But then again, though, like, give that man that Shinnok's amulet and he goes ham. So
yeah,
because like I mean, you would think the same rule would apply with him going to Netherrealm, but when he had that amulet, he wrecked that army. Like, that was crazy.
And flung his arms out like some fucking person.
Yeah, well, he's just stuck at a rave, flinging around his arms.
Oh,
but yeah, that's everything I have to say about like the strongest characters as far as like lore's concerned. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you took lore out of the equation, I feel like I could definitely come up with like a different list. Like,
oh, definitely,
yeah.
Absolutely.
But I guess if that's it, does anybody? I know Mike's been saying like a lot in the chat, but like, is there anything that kind of came to you guys' mind like last second that you kind of want to discuss, or like if anybody's like in the comments kind of want us to discuss on anything, you know, let's bring it up.
Let me think. Question: is Jade stronger than Shao Kahn at this point? Because I know this is crazy talk kicking in.
I'm sorry, what?
But Kotal Khan beats Shao Kahn. Jade beats Kotal Khan. And I'm just kind of like, what?
Yes.
By definition, yes, I guess.
No, I actually asked myself the same question last night, to be honest with you, because like when I was going back through the story, because it made me wonder the question first before I got to that question was, who's stronger, Katana or Jade? And I mean, because like you think, because I mean, Jade was a whole general for Shao Kahn, so I mean, like Jade obviously has some kind of strength. So like, I feel like we haven't got to see Katana like do enough to kind of like judge how strong she is. No, because she's always been like a damsel in distress more than anything, and like I feel like we haven't really got to see her do much. That's why, like, in a way, I didn't fully say that her beating Shao Kahn's out of the question, but it's definitely debatable. But then,
got rid of my pun.
What were you gonna say?
I'm not sure if Shao Kahn sees your point. Sorry, carry on. I retract that statement. I hate myself.
Well, that's what
but I will say the thing is that if Jade is stronger than Katana, then that would mean Jade technically can beat Shao Kahn. If Katana did it, so it's just like I don't know exactly where that stands, and honestly, I definitely see the issue with it. Because Shao Kahn is or should be considered one of the strongest characters in the series. I mean, like Survive said, this guy like has conquered so many worlds, and I mean, it seems weird to see him be easily beaten. So I mean,
Mortal Kombat 11 downplayed Shao Kahn mainly because he wasn't the main antagonist. So I think like they started to build him up at the start. It was like, oh yeah, Shao Kahn's back. This is really cool. And then like halfway through, they're like, oh fuck, you know, he's not the, you know, like Kronika, right? You know, we got to get rid of him. So they're like, let's just get rid of him. That's just kind of how it feels.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just like literally it hit my brain, like because like me and my brother actually discussed this last night. I forgot to mention the simple fact that Shao Kahn also somewhat has the same concept as Shinnok, as far as like using things to kind of power himself up, because all those souls and stuff he kind of gathered, which they talk about it mainly in MK3, so they talked about it a bit in MK9, like that kind of gave him a power boost as well. So it's just like, where do you exactly gauge his power? Do you give him the same treatment as Shinnok, where you're going to talk about him at his prime, or you're going to talk about him without including all that extra stuff?
Yeah, that's true.
And then like, there's also the issue with MK11 supposedly that he has Old Naga's powers. I don't get that concept, and I wish they would kind of explain a bit more on that. But I mean, supposedly that's the thing in MK11.
I totally just thought of something. How earlier I said that Dark Raiden would have been the strongest iteration of Raiden. I totally forgot about at the end of Mortal Kombat 9 when it's like Elder God Raiden. That would be the strongest iteration of Raiden. So just correcting myself there, a little bit of backtracking.
And that's true, actually. I didn't even think about that.
I totally forgot about that.
They definitely downplayed Shao Kahn though. Like, have you guys seen I think it's in one of the intros with Noob Saibot when he asks him to join him, and then Noob's like, because he's conquered. Okay, because Shao Kahn said that he's conquered, or he's a conqueror or whatever, and then Noob's like, how many realms have you actually conquered?
Oh,
and that's like, yeah, it's just like a burn on him. Like, oh, so in this timeline, he hasn't conquered anything. That's
I have to call
so I was like,
on
oh,
that.
come on.
Okay, but see, that's where there's certain issues as far as with that statement. Because one, that is funny. I thought it was like the sickest burn ever. But you have to keep in mind because one, they do explain that when they took him from the past, it was right after it was from MK9, right after Kung Lao had beat the Deadly Alliance, right before Shao Kahn had snapped his neck.
Yeah,
And
right before he died.
He did take over Baraka's realm. He took over Zatara on Reptile's realm, and he took over Adenia. So technically, he has conquered realms at this point.
And didn't he do something to
Natara's?
Kaitin?
Yeah, and
Kaitin, Natara's realm. Dude.
Yeah, he's conquered realms already.
There's realms that
Noob doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
It was a funny burn though, like taking it aside because like I honestly died laughing.
Shao Kahn just pulls out his notebook. He's like, actually, I've conquered this one. I've conquered this one. So fuck you.
But I mean, like with Shao Kahn, yes, I feel like he was downplayed a bit, but it was like there's factors to him as well. Like they just really need to like flesh out characters and like their power a bit.
I still think one of the most like missed opportunities was in Mortal Kombat X with Ermac. One of his intros was that he had Shao Kahn's soul. Imagine how powerful Ermac would be if he like absorbed Shao Kahn's soul.
Yeah. In
the lore, like in the actual story mode. I'm just saying that would be beastly. But of course, Ermac's cursed as a jobber, so.
Yeah. He said, Mike
and
says
then to the pit of hell he goes.
Yeah. Yep, to the pit he goes for sure.
Fuck.
I'm laughing at Mike right now. He said News been spinning it. He was spinning the Sonator for 25 to 30 years. Like, good God. He really was, though. That's kind of funny.
Whoa. Like, fuck, dude.
The dude.
You good? Want some milk?
I mean, I will say would explain that a bit more too, because that's not like the old dude sidewalk. That's the one that got kicked in Tornadoes. Like, what really happened? Dude. What really happened to him? No, it's the same one from the Tornado.
I think he just died.
It's present timeline.
It's present timeline, dude.
Yeah.
What?
Because somebody asks him. I forget who. Someone says, "How did you survive?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm tough for stuff and that. Quan Chi made me tough or something like that." So
Fuck that.
Yeah, it is. It's present timeline noob. I did a lot of paraphrasing there, but that's basically the gist of it.
Yeah, it was Sub-Zero's chapter. He says it.
Yeah,
he says it,
I just vaguely remember someone asking him how he survived the Soulnado, and he's like, Quan Chi made me tougher stuff than that. Mm-hmm. Something stupid like that. And it was like, they didn't explain it at all. I was like, okay.
So much.
Like everyone had all these theory videos on YouTube for fucking years after Mortal Kombat 9 trying to figure out how they could write Noob back in, and it's just like he's back, everybody. That's he's back.
I am one of those fucking people, and I made an 8-minute video on that show on how Noob and Smoke could fucking work together, and everything gets ruined because
I should have known though.
Smoke is dead. I am an Enra.
Oh God! Don't get me started on that. They didn't even do anything with that.
Fucking Noob would be awesome.
I know it was literally a one-liner,
and then story with it.
Kicked.
Smoke was my favorite character in MK9. Killed him off. Didn't bring him back in MKX. Okay, fine. Didn't bring him back in MK11. Okay, well, fuck you guys then.
Dude, how do you think Rain fans feel?
It's literally the same thing with Rain.
I don't know. I mean, like, NetherRealm has a lot of issues.
Story
issues. They choose the wrong characters. It's all over the place.
Melina fans can't say shit because I feel like Rain fans deserve a whole lot more than the fucking Melina fans.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, think about like the fucking mocap fans out there, like any fans of shitty characters like that are literally never going to return. Never. Never.
That is, oh man, I'm a mocap fan. The day I
dude, same. If they could, like, the fact of the matter is, like, I just see potential in a lot of the 3DR characters. Of course, they're garbage right now, but it's like NetherRealm Studios just does such a good job at like rehashing the characters and making them good.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that they could even make
Frost was good. She just every bad guy. No, every bad guy is a jobber. You can't blame her for that. You really can't. Because even Shao Kahn, like even Mike said it, like literally, even Shao Kahn was brought to jobber level.
Yeah, that is what really bothered me about Shao Kahn. They seriously downplayed him beyond belief. Like beyond the point where I wish he got the Goro treatment and wasn't in the story. It was just like a pre-order.
Exactly.
That's how bad it was. Like I just wish he wasn't even there. It's like that wasn't even Shao Kahn.
I mean,
Can we explain Cabal, please?
Okay, no, Cabal.
They just say it's Shao Kahn's clone. Kind of like just do it like they did before. No, it was just Shao Kahn's clone, guys. It's all good.
I mean, Cabal doesn't get a say-so. Cabal was literally put in the game for gameplay only, not story. They only put him. They have to put him in the story because he's on the roster. But they only put him in for gameplay.
Like,
he was meant to be. They just made him a jobber because they're like, well, we need a reason to bring him back. Hey, let's bring him back so people can kick his butt.
Like, and he be in the SWAT in that?
It makes
moment,
no
though?
fucking sense.
It does.
No his story sense. Is fucking ass. Should he be in
SWAT because like he oh god.
I love how they like. I love that weird like moment where it's like, yeah.
Wait, why did they? I'm sorry, not to cut anybody off. Mike, why did they reckon? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Cabal. Like he's in the chat right now, and he's kind of like jumping on some of the stuff we're saying. And
oh shit, what'd he say?
He said they openly told him that they reckon retcon.
Are
Cabal.
you serious?
What?
Wait,
dude, they do a lot of fucking retconning. Jesus Christ, dude. Mortal Kombat and their retcons is like peanut butter and fucking.
I missed that again. Wait, sorry, what?
Hey, retcon Cabal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Big time.
Can't say I'm surprised.
No.
They thought his story was too cool. No. It's easy to fall. Fuck. You just look. They just didn't know what to fucking do with Cabal, so they were like, you know what? Let's just retcon this big entire fucking thing that was in Mortal Kombat 9.
Yeah. It was stupid.
They're not smart.
Can we talk about how at the end of MK9, where all those reverends are there, and then throughout MKX and MK11, you never see them all together. Like, it's always either like a group of them. Like, where are the rest of them? Like, where are they?
They take shifts. They take shifts.
No, not Revenant Jade. Sorry, and Nenra.
Where's Striker? Fucking Nenra. Where the hell is Striker at, dude? He's like taking mall cop duty.
Netherrealm mall cop. Hey, demon, stop.
Seriously, yeah, he's like running around on a Segway down in Netherrealm. Quan Chi just like made him a star little police officer. Yeah, you know, I don't even know why I resurrected you, dude. Just stay down here.
In chapter 1 of MK11, when they're like defending the castle, it's just like a group of them. Like, where's like Striker? Where's Smoke?
I know.
Where's all the other guys that were just fighting at the Jinsei like place? Like,
yeah, they all are just.
I didn't. Where?
Sleepy.
Yeah, okay. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is.
I know that's the problem. That's kind of like it ties into what I said earlier about the comics, how they have free reign to kind of use anything and anything, because it's like they don't have 25 character slots that they can only use.
Yeah,
that's why I wish if they were gonna keep dragging on that Revenant story so long, I wish they literally would have had a game where all the Revenants were playable, or like I wish in MK9 they would have all had like a Revenant costume or something.
I mean, the only one that wasn't like there in MKX was Jade, but then like with MK11, literally none of them there. Like I feel like at least Smoke, Nightwolf, and Sindel, I said should have at least been there.
Nightwolf was such a fucking waste.
It's really weird that they didn't include Nightwolf, considering that they planned on him for being DLC.
Exactly, and that's why.
Same with Sindel.
That's what I was going to say. Like Smoke, Sindel, and Nightwolf should have been other Revenants.
True, that's very true. I wonder why.
Because they didn't want to put them on the roster. They didn't plan on making them DLC. So they said, hey, everybody complained about cameos in MKX. Let's not put them in the story at all.
Let's not do cameos. Let's just do NPCs that pissed everyone off. That's the part that...
Like I think they don't understand.
Pissed me off.
I know. Classic old Ed Boon and his big eyebrows. Gotta love him.
Not only did you not have one of the...
I know. I clown on him all the time, but no, he's a good guy.
Oh God!
Like I clown on Ed a lot, but I actually respect him a lot more than I might show.
Oh no, of course, definitely. I just feel like I think we all just have the issue with just NetherRealm Studios in general, like kind of like
we're all passionate fans.
Exactly, and it's just if you've known the lore for a long time and you know character backgrounds and stuff, it just sucks to kind of see them kind of get to a point where they're messing up their own story and they're
and they're doing all these retcons, and it's like even the regular fan is like, yo, that ain't right. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, that's why reboot it if they're most likely gonna fuck it up again. So
exactly.
like, why even reboot it? You guys,
I honestly think the story was at such a good spot. If they would have just like finished off the Revenant arc, like, you know, either resurrected them or killed them or whatever. I feel like they could have even done Chronica and the time travel without rebooting the whole series. Like, I feel like they could have even, but it's like the fact that they rebooted it again makes me so like uninterested. Well, sort of like not uninterested, but like little disappointed, because it's like we've gone all this time, you know, Mortal Kombat 9, Mortal Kombat X, all these story speculation videos and all these theories, and it's like none of it really matters because it's just starting fresh again.
Well, no,
at this point, like, just I don't even want to know like what the next like story is. It's like, can you really go anywhere else at this point? Just like,
yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah,
honestly.
if you didn't want to just like make it like Killer Instinct and have like seasons of DLC instead of, you know,
time to do another crossover. I think it's time for a crossover.
Dude, I would be fine with a Killer Instinct crossover with Mortal Kombat. I'd be perfectly fine.
No, dude, Mortal Kombat versus DC 2.
I'm about to say that might happen. You know what? Mortal Kombat versus DC 2.
With the Combat Pack 2 DLC, they might need to fucking do it because that's gonna extremely piss me off.
Expect Fire God Liu Kang.
But
true.
If you want to know my opinion on how Mortal Kombat should have gone after X, they should have had the Outworld versus Earthrealm Mortal Kombat tournament. They should have had a side plot with the Red Dragon. They should have had a side plot with
you mean Dagon?
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about Takeda.
But he's the leader of the Red Dragon, so like y'all are talking about the same thing.
Yeah, Takeda, Kenshi, and Scorpion going after the Red Dragon for Suchin. I would have built up, not put him in there, but built up Goro as the Dragon King, kind of like they did with the comics, but further it a little bit more, and then have that be the cliffhanger at the end.
That would have been so nice.
Introduce the Chaos and Order realm, and bring back fucking Hotaru. God damn it, he is one of the coolest looking 3D air characters.
Flag arms, dude, old flag arms.
I actually like Hotaru too, to be honest with you. I'm like, granted, I don't care for his design too much.
I just thought, I was like, what's with the flags?
But like at the same
he
time,
looks awesome.
I feel like if any Order Realm character stays, Hotaru. I don't care about the other two, like Darius and Dairu. I don't care about them. Hotaru, on the other hand, I think he deserves redemption. I
absolutely agree. I think he could be a really cool character, and I really like the realms that him and Havoc come from. Yeah. But I just thought, like, design-wise, I was like, holy shit, like, what is with these flags?
I agree.
Who came up with that?
Had another Mortal Kombat tournament, because God fucking damn it, Mortal Kombat needs more tournaments. And not Mortal Kombat 1 through 3.
But didn't you just before this say, oh my god, there's another Kombat tournament? I swear to God.
But I'm saying, like, if it's 1 through 3, that's what I'm talking about. If it was just another one, like say Kodokan and Raiden, and actually not just Raiden, Dark Raiden, you know, where he'll just fucking obliterate anybody that looks him the wrong way. I would love that. If Raiden was dark enough to overtake the Outworld, like, that would be some pretty awesome shit.
I mean, as far as Mortal Kombat goes, there's only actually just been 3 tournaments throughout the whole series.
Yeah, there has been.
And 1, 2 in Deadly Alliance.
I want there to be more tournaments, but I don't want them being Mortal Kombat 1 through.
Yeah, I agree. I won't mind more tournaments. Like, I mean, there hasn't, like, the story is based on the idea of the Mortal Kombat tournament, though the tournament of Mortal Kombat is irrelevant after part 2. Like, it never comes back up. Deadly Alliance had its own tournament, which, like, going back to what you guys were saying, like, the bad guys won. So the tournament was kind of pointless in Deadly Alliance. So, I mean, it would be cool to see another tournament. I'm just so sick of them repeating the trilogy now. Like, I love the trilogy. I will always respect, and it will always be, like, my favorite part. But it's just, I'm kind of done with it now. Like, with this new era thing, I am so scared that they're going to reboot and do the trilogy again, and I'm not for it.
I won't be ready. I won't be supporting that.
Like I'm ready to see them do more. Like I'm ready to see some other characters. Like not new characters. I'm sorry, new characters is cool. I don't mind getting like one or two maybe, but like after MK11, like I was not even a fan of the new characters we got there. I just feel like you have too many characters that you just need to work on in general as is. Like you already have a hard time fleshing out the characters you have now. Why introduce more unfinished jobbers? Like
the difference between Mortal Kombat X new characters and Mortal Kombat 11 is that at least Mortal Kombat X characters actually had a fucking personality and worked shit, aka Collector, Cetrion, and Geras.
Like, I mean,
god damn,
they have potential. I'll at least give them that much. It's just the way they do their stories, they don't give time for certain characters to kind of be fleshed out. That's like going back to what Nick was saying about the comics. Like the comics really just gave them that opportunity to flesh out characters and kind of like do them right. But yeah, that's just how I feel about it. I actually would not mind having a discussion talking about the timeline, just because like I kind of want to go on a rant about it, to be honest with you, just the whole new timeline, because so much things that were hyped up that didn't even happen in MK11.
If you want to go on an entire rant about Kombat story mode, I got an entire notepad for.
Well, honestly, when we get ready to do that, bring your notepad, because I actually would not mind going on a rant. Just a small bit of a rant, because I don't want to go too crazy, but it's just they oh man, they really kind of was all over the place with this new timeline. But we kind of got a little bit off topic, but I think we're gonna go ahead and end the stream. It's getting kind of late, and I actually completely forgot about Square Enix's E3 presentation. I see a few people talking about it on Twitter, but just to let everybody know, we will be doing a part 2 of this discussion, which is going to be very interesting. It's not going to be exactly like this, but it's going to be a fun one. So I hope everyone who's watching can look forward to that. And I guess that'll be it. You guys have anything you want to say before we go?
Nada.
Fuck Raiden. Have a nice evening.
Amen, brother.
Alrighty, well, I guess that would be it. I guess until next time, I hope you guys can look forward to part 2 of this discussion. This is Legend X Ronin and everybody else, and we'll see you all in the next live stream.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye.